I've been consuming quite closely for maximum of today, so I stopped making feel you all recognize why. I'm 40 years antique, and my wife is 38. She was constantly adamant that we would not have kids. I desired them, but cherished her more than the idea of becoming a father. We met whilst I used to be 20 and she became 18, and have been married by the time I used to be 22. She came from a totally privileged background, and her dad and mom did no longer approve of me. They may be of the opinion that she married underneath her social station. Some months in the past, she visited her mother and father, and her father offered her a new car. Her mother and father have extreme cash, and that I relied on her, so it wasn't something that I wondered. She's continually received gifts from her father over the years. Why might this one be any one of a kind? A couple of weeks ago, she advised me that she'd become pregnant, and I used to be ecstatic, happier than I have ever been, but it didn't last lengthy. I were given a name from a friend, and he advised me that he'd seen her along with her brother-in-law at the same time as she become visiting her dad and mom. She hadn't instructed me that she'd visible him. They have got continually had a peculiar dynamic that made me uncomfortable. However, I consoled myself with the view that she had chosen me. My buddy dispatched me a few pics, and it changed matters. The photos showed a pair that had been very close. The picture confirmed them gazing and maintaining each different, the intimate gestures of ones acquainted with each different. Her observing at home with a glance that I had hoped became reserved for myself. His hands have been in her hair as he kissed her. Turns out it's extra, then in all likelihood he sold her the auto. I confronted her approximately it, and requested her what came about. However, she lied, informed me she hadn't seen him, instructed me that I have to realize the rating among them, and that she has to be civil. I showed her the images and advised her to depart. Then I did the mathematics in my head and realized the dates line up. There may be a totally real chance he is probably the infant's father. These days, I asked her for a DNA take a look at, but she exploded at that, the concept of subjecting her toddler to a check. Without one, I'll never accept this infant as mine. This entire ordeal has made me rethink my marriage. Now, not best that, however how sincere she's been during it. How the various gifts that she's received through the years have absolutely been from her father. Has she simply unfolded her legs for any guy who bought her something fine? Have I pretty actually married, eh? I have dispatched her sister the pics, no longer for any noble motive of questioning that she have to recognize. I want to harm my wife and brother-in-law, and that is the fine manner I recognize in the meanwhile. On Monday, I think I'm going to talk to her attorney and set the divorce lawsuits in movement. I need her permission for a DNA check, and she, or he's made it clear that she won't provide it. The next step is I'm getting a divorce and lose one half my stuff. Infidelity does not rely as a good deal to the UK courts. Update: I have not spoken to my spouse in close to 10 days. She has sent me a few messages and left voicemails, but I have never replied to any of them. I've made my function clean to her. When she concurs to a DNA check, I will talk to her, now not earlier than. I spent Christmas with a close friend, and he gave me some recommendation about what to do with my future. I used to row and field in my early 20s, and that I plan to start doing that once more. I'm also giving up alcohol for the foreseeable destiny. It would not do my intellectual nation any accurate. I have an appointment with an attorney and a therapist next week. I plan to get myself taken care of mentally, emotionally, and legally so that I don't get two in the coming months. Whether or not I get divorced ultimately, I want to know my options and the effects. I've spoken to my sister in regulation on a few events, and she or he's happening a similar path to me and filing for divorce inside the new year. Her and my brother in regulation have a young daughter. So lifestyles goes to get pretty complicated for them if the toddler seems to be his. Then they can have one certainly up circle of relatives. I am jumping from trying the toddler to no longer. If it is mine, then I am getting to be a dad, but my lifestyles receive significantly complex. If it's someone else's, then I can be executed with all of them and have a fresh begin. However, the thought that she'd have any other guy's child is profoundly depressing. If it is not my toddler, then I think I will move someplace else, perhaps follow for a work visa in America, switch to one of the EU branches of the company, or spend some years dwelling as a nomad journeying around the arena. Have not thought that some distance in advance yet. However, I doubt I'll stay inside the United Kingdom. If it is mine, then things could be a great deal extra complex. I have never instructed her about my plans for the destiny due to the fact, from my modern standpoint, she isn't in them. That could exchange, however, at its current point of view, it is not likely. As updates move, this one is probably disappointing, however, it is what it's for. If she consents to a DNA test, then I'll offer every other update, but at this factor, that seems quite unlikely. Replace variety too. I got a transient switch to one of the northern branches of my business enterprise. They're saying a change is as accurate as a relaxation. And on this example, it become operating someplace distinct becomes certainly what I needed, and it turned into first class to be somewhere wherein I wasn't reminded about my modern state of affairs. When I back domestic, it truly clicked how unhappy I've been in London. It is not a metropolis that I enjoy dwelling and running in, and I have made the choice to transport. I did even have a quick casual courting with a person else. However, it did not without a doubt go anywhere. I notioned some meaningless intercourse could help, and for the duration of the act, it did, but in a while I always felt guilty, so I stopped. My wife had the child ultimate Monday. She also agreed to a DNA take a look at. I noticed her on Wednesday, which was in Revelin. I haven't certainly spoken to her within the closing 6 months, so the meeting turned into very awkward. Her parents have by no means certainly appreciated me, and the last few months have achieved nothing to improve their opinion of me. She kept on asking me if I could experience it whilst I held the baby. I'm not pretty sure what it's for. However, I did feel something. I instructed her about my plans to transport, and she turned it a very plenty on board with that, insisting that it can be a fresh start for us. She maintained that she never had an affair. I do not know if I consider that, but I have no evidence. I'm not certain that I want her to include me. I did get the results from the take a look at a few days ago, and it's Miles, my child. She's made her function clean. She wants us to be one own family, one household. The factor is, I actually don't know if that's what I need anymore. Reality be told, I have no clue what I want anymore. The primary issue that I experience in the meantime is confused and unsure. Stay along with her or leave her. I'm in a lot of respects tied to her now through our son. It's something that I am putting quite a few concepts into earlier than I determined. My therapist says that trust is the whole lot in any courting, and if you don't accept as true with someone, then you definitely cannot have a real courting with them. He additionally requested if I should accept as true with her once more or see myself being in a function wherein I ought to believe her once more inside the destiny. Each questions I don't know how to answer in the meanwhile. This become the remaining replace from the consumer. He referred to that he could no longer provide any in addition updates on this tale, as he would not see any point in updating anymore. Only a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. I simply admire it. It helps plenty. Now transferring directly to our second tale. She stored going for another 8 months. I had my first girlfriend whilst I used to be 20. She became the first character I slept with too. I cherished her. We got engaged and married and moved in collectively over a 6.5-year relationship. I commenced getting suspicious of her and one in every of her workmates who become extremely clingy toward her. There have been many pink flags which I left out as this woman turned into the love of my lifestyles and my spouse. So why would she do something so bad? But the suspicions save constructing as increasingly more pink flags regarded. I faced her about these things like him and her messaging constantly. I noticed many messages from him to her with rows of coronary heart emojis, how she could continually prefer going locations with him over me, even if I specifically requested if we could go collectively. She took him to a hen park that I cherished to go to. She had him over for one night when I was away, and the bed sheets had been within the washing device when I were given home. I had enough on New Year's while she became purposefully being remote from me, like I was a horrific guy or I had achieved something wrong. I took her cell phone and located her messages with him that night, confessing to every different how an awful lot they loved every other. Obviously, I felt destroyed. However, idiot me attempted to keep our dating going. I found they were sexting every other a few weeks afterward as nicely, and after a massive argument, she promised to trade. Fool me, they persisted their component till August when I discovered them out again. Before then, there have been instances in which she changed into purposefully remote to me, and behold, it turned into due to the fact she became doing things with him. Suspicion crept up once more as she went to the gymnasium 3 to 4 instances every week, but Simplest had one fitness center where inside the wash by means of the stop of it. She never became tired or did her health trade. I demanded a divorce while I found out that she had named a celebrity after him for his birthday, which was only a week or so before mine, as I had enough. She lied to friends and own family about what had took place, pointing out that we were just getting distant. They wanted different things. I retaliated with the aid of throwing the whole lot on a Facebook publish, such as her confessions for the other man, the naming of the megastar by, and pics of them out on journeys which I had no clue of. I will admit, not my high-quality second, possibly not fair either. After the divorce, I stated I in no way desired to pay attention or speak to her again. This turned it around 2 years ago. At some stage in that point, she messaged me twice, and both times I have completely omitted her. However, I maintain the evidence of what she did safe just in case she tries whatever. Definitely, for my first real relationship, it became a roller coaster. 4 months later, for days earlier than Christmas, I misplaced my task in my house and moved back into my mother's. Some years later, I am lower back on my toes with a brand new job looking for a new house and got again into my karate. I'm in a kata squad now, return in touch with lots of friends. In the long run, I might once more request you to subscribe to my channel. The purpose is to reach 1,000 subscribers, so hit that purple button.